Fought Morales 3 times. Fought Barrera 2 times. Fought Marquez 4 times. And these fights started in the early 2000s. Que bueno, mi gente, Calix Boxing here, and I want to pay tribute to the living legend, Manny Pacquiao. You're talking about a guy, it's 2021, 42 and a half years old. He's 70-something fights in, and you're in an era where fighters continue to duck each other and call each other out on Twitter and do nothing about it. And you have a guy here who has every excuse in the world to hang it up or fight easy fights or fight a Jake Paul. Jake Paul in Miami. He has every excuse to take fights like that, but instead he's going for legacy. Continues to go for legacy. And he's fighting the top fighter in his division once again. He's fighting a guy who everybody thinks is a tough matchup for him. He's fighting a guy who is arguably top 2 or 3 pound for pound in the world. And he's 42 and a half years old. And look at all the fights he's already been in. Antonio Margarito, Cotto, Mayweather. The list goes on and on and on. De La Hoya, Clottey. I mean, everybody. He's fought everybody out there available to him in his weight class while he's in that particular weight class, no matter what weight class he's been in. He's been in multiple legacy fights. I mean, I talked about him with Morales, a trilogy, Barrera, back-to-back, a rematch right there. And then Marquez 4 times. We all know about that rivalry that they had. And despite all of that, despite the tough fights, despite the knockout loss 9 years ago to Marquez when everybody thought he was done, 9 years later, he's still one of the top names in the sport, fighting one of the top 2 or 3 pound for pound fighters in the world and the top fighter in his division. Now, we can argue who's better between Crawford and Spence, but what's not arguable is really because of his resume, Spence is number 1 at 147 right now. And Pacquiao is testing that after beating Keith Thurman. And in today's day and age, too, when a fighter's been off for a year and a half or so, they look for a tune-up fight. He's not looking for a tune-up. He's coming straight off the Thurman fight, a year and a half off, almost 2 years off, and he's going to fight Errol Spence. Beautiful. Just beautiful stuff from Pacquiao. And this is, boxing fans really do not deserve Manny Pacquiao, if we're being honest. Because boxing fans ask for average fighters. We ask for average fights by the way we act. We give fighters who continue to fight average opposition or take long layoffs or take tune-up fights, don't test the top fighters in their division, stay away from the top fighters in their division. We still reward those fighters by how we rank them, by how we talk about them, how forgiving we are to fighters like that. We don't deserve fighters like Manny Pacquiao. Right now, Canelo Alvarez, who is testing himself fight in, fight out, fighting 4 times in a year. Chocolatito is another one. You know, these fighters who are cut from this cloth are a dying breed out there. So put respect on Manny Pacquiao's name. Put respect on his name. He's probably going to go down as the greatest fighter of our era. And I think this solidifies it, really, win or lose. The fact that he's doing this. He already won to me, no matter what happens. He may lose the fight, but to me, he's a winner for how he's behaving right now. He's behaving like a real fighter. I believe he wanted to fight Crawford. Didn't work out. So guess what? Let's go fight Spence. Oh, Manny, let me bring you this fight. You can fight Jake Paul. You can fight Logan Paul. You can make a bunch of money. You can fight Conor McGregor, make a bunch of money. Nah, man, I want legacy. Canelo's doing the same thing. Canelo's been offered these types of circus act fights that Floyd Mayweather's taken. Turn them down. That's what real fighters do. Put respect on Manny Pacquiao's name, a living legend. Pacquiao versus Legend coming up. Pacquiao versus Spence coming up in August. Beautiful fight.